Gracias. Can you hear me? ¿Me entiende? Okay. Also from over there at the very bottom of the room? Yes or not? Good, so we can start. So my name is Arturo Vittori. I'm coming from Italy. I'm an architect, designer, and today I'm here in your country, in this beautiful city, to show you this project called Warca Water, which in Spanish is also Warca Water, that's the name. So I don't speak Spanish, unfortunately, only Italian and English and some French. I hope you understand, but I asked to not be translated because I think what I'm showing you is simple to understand because there are many pictures, as you can see. So now we start. We have 1 hour for, for me to tell you this story. And I would like to ask you first silence, because I need a little bit of concentration. A second, if we can drop the light a little bit lower, can we do that? How do you say light in Spanish? Luces, soft luces. So every time I'm presenting, I always invite the audience, so you, for a space trip. Have you ever been to space? Spazio, space. Have you ever been to space? Yes or not? Yes. He went. So we are two of us. Nobody else. So do you want to go? I will be your captain. You trust me? So seatbelt fasten. Let's lighter down the lights and we go. So we have some technical problems, but our takeoff is delayed, but should happen any second. We are looking for a switcher. So this room looks like a spaceship room, you see? There is a big window. From this, we can look at space. So I'm confident we found the switcher. Then let's move. And also the audio is not working. The sound should be on. Is it on? Audio is good, light is not good. Let's start. So, three, two, one, take off. So you see how much energy and technology is needed for us to go to space. Going to outer space is something we learned, our society learned how to do it in only 50 years. It's something very, very young, very new. And it is something unbelievable, amazing. This is looking like the future. In reality, it's the past. The space shuttle is already in a museum. It's a piece of history. And we did it in such a short time that I believe in future our society will be called the space age society because we are space people. Very good. Thank you very much. So when we go to space like now, we can look at our planet from above. Here we are 400 kilometers above planet Earth. You see the beauty of the ocean. And this, what is this object in the middle of the screen? Any suggestion? Sorry? Satellite. It's not a satellite. Louder. This is an interactive conference, so you have to be part of it. No idea? International Space Station. Who say that? Good. Stazione Spaziale. Very good. So this is a place where people like us is living from more than 10 years and are orbiting around our planet, already outside. So we are living in space, and living in there is another world. This is how a spaceship like the International Space Station is looking. As an architect and designer, I also work for space in outer space. And when we design, a spaceship, it's difficult because, for example, here on Earth, we know this is the floor, these are the walls, and this is the ceiling. This is the basic assumption in architecture. Over there, everything changed. Why? Because only by microgravity, you see, we are a mix between being a fish, being a bird, so we fluctuate in the air. And because that, we have to rethink everything. So as a designer, every time I have to wonder, how do we eat? How do we sit? How do we drink? Even drinking is something we do in a different way. As you can see from these images, even a glass that is a very old invention must be retocked. So design architecture in outer space is very important because this is an extreme environment. And people there, living there, they need to have a normal life, to enjoy life. And you see, even an orange can be used for enjoying life. This is international game between Italy, South Africa, and Russia. So, as an architect working for a space exploration project, this project is called Moonbase. The Moonbase was developed more than 10 years ago in collaboration with NASA, the American Space Administration. And the project was conceived for 6 astronauts, first arrived to the moon, to live for 1 year, and to make the first experiment and to see how we can live on the moon. The moon is a very extreme environment. There is no atmosphere. There is a rain of a micrometeorite. Without technology, we cannot live. You see, we are using, in this case, this station is like a balloon that is deflated inside the cargo bay, the space shuttle going up, inflate, and we use the local regolith, this sand is called regolith, to create a thick wall to protect the astronaut inside against the environment outside. It's very cold, it's very, very, very hot. It's extreme. Sorry? How? I don't understand, sorry. The environment can be 300 degree minus, 300 degree plus in a very short time. It is the day and the night, and unlike 12 hours, 24 hours is like different, completely different. So it is challenging for us. And inside this structure, people like us, they have to survive. And inside there is no water, no air. And how do you do without water and without air? The space exploration will not be possible. So today we have machinery, technology to survive even in such extreme environment. Without air, we cannot live, right? Without water, we can't. So we know how to do it today. We have all this technology available. And now we are going back to our planet, which is not too far from the moon. And you see how lucky we are here. We have all the resources we need. We have air, we have water, we have food, we have energy. It is about sharing this, understanding how to to use them in a sustainable way. And this is the story I want to tell you today. It's called Warka Water. It's about water as a resource. And this story started 3 years ago. I went to this beautiful country, Ethiopia, and discovered a world, as you can see. It seems like being in another age, people that still live integrated with nature in an amazing way. So I was fascinated by this, beauty, and also by this respect for the environment. But at the same time, I was also shocked by seeing that you see children taking water from, unsafe sources they share with animals, and also ladies, women transporting this heavy water tank through, the desert, through the landscape, without shoes. And this is something happening every day. There are processions of people doing this in Ethiopia. Following statistics, 60% of the population of Ethiopia, which is a big country, is suffering the lack of potable water. And only 20 liters of water will be enough for a decent life, for hygiene and for, drinking. And they don't even have access to this. While at the same time, today, on our planet, we reached this amazing record, consuming 550 liters of water, only one person by day. And do you know where this record has been achieved? Any idea? How much water do you consume yourself? 50. Good, at least it's an answer. So many of us, we even don't know. We should be aware of how much water we consume. So 550 is from consumption from Emirates, from the desert. 100 years ago, there was nothing there. Still nothing, still the desert. But they were nomads. They couldn't really meet together because there was not resources to share. Today is the consumer number one. Things are changing very fast. They are not always changing in the better or in the best way. The way they get all this water is another story. But maybe let's only say that, do you know how they manage to consume all this amount of water, or what is the most consuming item or lifestyle they have to consume this water? Any idea? Drinking? They can't drink so much water, right? So what else can be? Sorry? Making food, right? Not really. For air conditioning. So you see how crazy is that. But I want you to be a little bit more interactive. Then I will leave, and then you do what you want. But now, please, be more active. I like to have an exchange. So let's go ahead with the presentation. And now let's give you only one figure. This I want to keep in your mind. Every 90 seconds is one child is dying because the lack of potable water. So disease, they are in the water, they kill one children every 90 seconds. And this is only in Africa. So you see the situation is really unbelievable. So back home to my office, I start thinking, how can I help with my skills, this dramatic situation? And every time I start to design something new, I look for inspiration. And in this case, inspiration is coming from looking at nature, what we call biomimicry, looking at tradition, the tradition of the place where I was, visiting, and the Warka tree. Warka tree in Ethiopia, in some location, is an institution, is a symbolic structure. And under the tree, they gather together, they do, meeting like our meeting. We are in a room with air conditioning. They are much better over there under the shade of the tree. And they respect the tree because they know the tree is providing oxygen for them, but also providing food because it's a ficus tree. So they eat, they breathe, the shade, and it's beautiful. So, but the tree is very smart because it's using the people in order to be maintained in the time. Ethiopia is suffering of deforestation. All the trees are cut. But this one managed to use people to be, to be saved from this situation. So the name is coming from this, because the Warka water wants the people to be maintaining it. That was one of the goals. And this now doesn't need any word, any explanation. Is, how to get water from the environment. There are examples you can see, you can study, looking around you. You must be curious, you must, But also other technology, we will look in detail, the super hydrophobic technology also nature is showing, or the cactus that is present also here is an amazing plant. There are different kinds of cactus, but all of them, they manage to live in a very arid place. How they do it? If we cut the cactus, we section it, we see this star shape. The star shape is because the cactus can increase and decrease the size depending on how much water they collect inside. And all these spines and filaments you see around, they're also used for protecting, shading the water tank inside against evaporation. But at the same time, they have many more functions. The spines that we believed they were only a defense item for animals to be kept away, in reality, they are very, very efficient water harvesting things. And this is science. It's not me saying that. But if we know all this, and if we understand, how nature does it, why we don't use this technology and apply it to our building, to our structure, to our life? Why we don't do it? This is the question I've been keeping in my head. And studying more, researching more, I actually discover this, the dew ponds. Do you know the dew ponds? Have you ever heard about it? Yes or not? Good. Like the space station. So, but this was done, realized 2,000 years ago, even more. What it is, they excavated in the ground, they put a layer of dry reeds and straw, and then they create another layer with the clay. And this pool, what they do, they radiate during the night the temperature to the sky, and they condensate, the water in the air very efficiently. So what happened then is that water is created from the air. And some of the structure, they are still visible, and we discovered it recently. And you see how well integrated they are with the landscape, and they serve animals on this situation. This is North Europe. Or here we are in Central Europe, in my country, in the south. This structure before, we didn't know why, we created it. They are made out of stone. The stone is dry, so we put one stone over the other, and they have this funny shape. This is also a Warka tower concept that is more than 2,000 years old. What happened that the air that contains always some humidity, some water, passing through the stones, inside finds a much cooler environment, so it condensates on the surface of the stone inside, and the drops die. After drops, a water reservoir is created, and this water is going to the landscape, to the tree, and it created, an environment, a healthy environment for trees and vegetation to grow. Today we don't understand this anymore. We destroy this structure, and it's a pity. And many other countries, many other incredible structure, how to collect, how to take water from the environment. But also very important, the idea is always to build Warka in rural communities where there is nothing that we know. And the inspiration is how they are able in Africa, you see, to construct with local material, without scaffolding, without machinery, without crane, without anything. They do it by hand, they help each other, and they do it beautifully. So now we'll go a little bit more in detail into the project. The project doesn't have a client, started because, this important issue. So I focus on few important points before starting. So a structure that is easy to be constructed, doesn't have a bad impact to the environment, can be made, created locally with the people. It's not, transported, and is capable to give 50 liters of water every day, and it costs less than $1,000. So that were the objective, the initial objective. And with this, we start working on designing it. And since 3 years, we developed different structure because we are testing it, we are making it, we are, exploring and trying to implement to improve it. As you see, the shape is changing, the height, and so on, so on. Today, I will talk about the version 3, which is the one we built in Ethiopia, more or less 1.5 years ago. A Warka water, this I want to be clear from the beginning, is not the product that you apply as it is in a place. It is more a design philosophy. It's the philosophy how to get the water from the environment. And the environment can be water, can be the coastal area near the water, can be the valley, the lowland, but also can be the mountain and the very high mountains. So depending on where you locate it and the geographical condition, the design may change. This is what we did in Ethiopia 1 year and a half ago. It is a community that is living in highlands. It's more or less 2,000 meters from the sea. And this is how it is integrated. You see, you have traditional houses, and you have some Warka water that are serving the houses and the community. And the structure is basically constituted by a mesh, which is inside. Then there is a bamboo structure that is holding this mesh up. There is a collector that is condensating the water and taking the water from the mesh. There is a canopy that is protecting and shading all around. And the water tank, which is keeping the water and storing the water. And what it is basically, it is a tower, it's a vertical structure that is constructed in modules, so it is easy to be mounted, even if it is very high. We don't need scaffolding, we do it from the bottom up, and it's done. So when it's raining, it collects water from the rains. But when it's not raining and we have high humidity, it's also catching the humidity from the fog. And when there is no fog and no rain, condensation may happen during the night when there is different temperature, so condensation is created and collected. Is the sound still on? Because this has a sound, doesn't it? So what are the functions of the Warka water? We understood water. So water is an important, fundamental function. Without water, there is nothing. There is no culture. There is no hope. So from water, we learning within the time also to provide other function, because taking water takes few minutes. Then what do you do with this structure during the day? And in fact, they use it for several activities. First, kids are very attracted. They like to be under this, colorful and different things they have now in the community. So what they do, we organize training, workshop like this. And sometime when I go, I talk to them and I say, listen, it is important to drink potable water. So such a simple message can change lives. So education is fundamental. You have to have also, a design approach, but also education. They don't know, unfortunately, what is potable and what is not. So they can make the difference. And by this, teaching them, you may save life. Giving works, because maintaining the structure, constructing it, being around is already creating a microeconomy in the place. With the water that we don't use for drinking, but using for washing the structure, the runoff, we use for alimenting an edible garden, can be small, medium, large, depending on the size you want to do, and also they're learning how to grow vegetables, which they lost completely because without water, they don't know how to grow vegetable anymore. As something that we introduced recently with success is the light. So in a place where there is no light, bringing light during the night, we give hope to the children that now they can play around, they can use this space, and they can do activities in a safe situation, also when the sunset is dark. So what is next? And then we conclude. We started in Italy, then the first prototype in Ethiopia. Now we are working in different locations. Now I'm working in Haiti, not far from here. I'm coming from Haiti, where we'll be constructing the next, but Madagascar, Indonesia, India, and also Colombia, eventually, our next location for Warka. Colombia, because I already been here 7 months ago, and I went to La Guaira for a trip, because they invited me to have a look. So I spent 10 days crossing Guaira all around, also by helicopter. So I get some knowledge about it, but also I met the community and I started learning how they live, the tradition and so on. Cactus. House are constructed with the wood inside the cactus. Lack of water, dramatic situation. Children, women, walking every day, bringing back water. Location in La Guaira with a lot of humidity, a lot of winds, clouds crashing into the mountain, right in the center of La Guaira. So I start a little bit thinking about La Guaira. Finally, the issues and the situation you find in other nations sometimes are similar one. For sure, there Guaira is very challenging as an environment. Deforestation and desertification is started. And as a conclusion, sorry to be late, only a very simple message. Our planet, now we are landing back to home, very beautiful, giving us so much, very generous. There are resources for all of us. It is about sharing it and managing it well. This is the message I want to leave you. And before you take, or actually you can take now your seatbelt off. And I hope from now on, not be more passenger of the spaceship, but more, the crew of it. So all together, let's try with our skills of knowledge to make this planet a better place. Thank you very much.